Nigeria falls within the Sahel and at the same time within the Gulf of Guinea. So, of course, so when you look at insecurity from the Sahel down to the Gulf of Guinea, then from the Gulf of Guinea to the Sahel, put lots of pressure on our internal security agencies. And of course, with a population of over 230 million people, that brings a lot of challenges. And beyond that, with a population of over 70% below the age of 40, with over 42% below the age of 15, shows very well that there is an enticer for insecurity and terrorism because of the young population that we boast of in Nigeria. Having said this, it shows that the time to review our border strategic policy is now. And I'm happy that the NIS is already doing that by virtue of what we've started today. I always say finding a solution is a factor of three things. It's a factor of answering three questions. Question number one is what we always call the what question. Question number two is the how. Question number three is the when. You know, the what question tells us what we need to do. What's the mandate? What do we need to do? Let's understand the problem, which is what we are doing. After this, we now go to the how, which is the methodology of implementation. How do we implement the resolve, the resolution of this meeting? And of course, the last one is when do we implement it? And for me, that answer is now, because the time to implement the resolutions, it's not tomorrow, the time is now. The Nigeria is so important within the Gulf of Guinea. We all know that for sure. Just as Nigeria is very important within the Sahel. And of course, Nigeria being a gateway country, linking the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea, being at the middle, poses a huge threat to our national security architecture. Having said that, the president has always challenged us to be innovative, dare to innovate, dare to achieve. You cannot achieve anything if you are not innovative. And he has always told us, Mr. President has always said, this is not the era of business as usual. This is the era of business unusual. It's about it's about being bold, being audacious with decision making. I tell you, securing the maritime space is not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy. But the question is, can we get it done? Yes, we can get it done. With the right idea, with the right resolution, with the right framework, and with the right mindset, we can get it done. And of course, we are very committed to getting that done. For me, it starts from because it's important when we come for international workshops like this. We understand and appreciate that government is a continuum, but it's important people should understand where we are coming from and where we are. Of course, 2 years ago when Mr. President came on board, we had an NIS that didn't have a data center. So when you do not have a data center, you do not build a credible database, how do you verify? How do you work on even, how will I call it? How do you work on data sequencing? It becomes a problem. But today, I'm happy to tell you, December last year, Mr. President has commissioned one of the biggest, one of the best and most reliable data center we have in Nigeria. That is the foundation of what we're trying to do. Number two thing is to now build a robust database, which I can tell you to a large extent, we are already doing that and we're reaping the fruit of that. Now, it will interest you that a couple of weeks ago, I think within 2 days, a lot of people on Interpol and Red List, were arrested at our airports. So it means these people would have come in. One came from Italy. One came from Italy, one came from Ireland, the other one I think from UK, a couple of countries. These people would have come into Nigeria, sneaked in years ago. But now we know that in terms of our air terminals, our air border, that is safe because it's integrated into the central solution. Also, that was not available before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. We've been able to handle that. Now, we can tell you Nigeria now has an API solution. We never had that. The Advanced Passenger Information System was not available. We're one of the few countries, a country of 230 million people, without an API solution, without the opportunity of our immigration officers being able to pre-profile people coming into Nigeria, not being able to query their background, query their record system, query their antecedents and their travel history. We never had that capacity before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. But today, I tell you, NIS has that. So if you're coming into Nigeria today, before you come, we know everything about you. We've queried you. We know where you're coming from, and we can tell from that aspect, we're now fulfilling our international obligations to our international bodies by being able to uphold the tenets of UN resolution of the API solution. That we have at the moment. And of course, when we came on board, people think the e-gate is just a means of convenience. No, when we said the e-gate is a means of convenience. It's also a means of enforcement. And I can tell you today, the e-gates we see in our airports, it's not just for the purpose of ease of travel, it's also for the ease of record management. So it is easy for me. Like yesterday, I was invited to the House of Reps for public hearing on the certificate racketeering thing that happened in Benin Republic. And I told them that happened in 2022. Now it's a bit more difficult because now every passport, every movement on every passport is in our database. That is the essence of having this. And also, part of what we have also seen, which we have also introduced from the 1st of May, is the automation of our landing and embarkation card and exit card. Well, we automated that. So when people come into Nigeria, if you're coming into Nigeria now by road, by sea, or by air, you need to fill online. We have your details, and immediately you enter and we scan it. It has a QR code. It initiates a counter which we can now use to manage visa duration and visa overstayers. We have been able to do that. And I tell you, we have deployed portable equipment to our land borders to be able to scan that. So if you come into Nigeria and immigration arrests you, and of course the counter is not activated, it shows that you didn't come through the border, because what we had before was people just stamping passports. Anybody can go to UTC, go to anywhere and manufacture stamp and put it on passport, because when they say, oh, this is immigration stamp, the question is, how are we sure it was actually stamped by immigration? So we thought that the only way to secure our system is via automation. And I'm very happy with what I've read from this folder today. I'm very happy. We have to look at how to integrate AI solutions into our solution architecture, and of course to invest more in surveillance. The simple truth is that intelligence gathering is not as cheap as people think. A lot of us, it is what we see as physical infrastructure that we think is costly. But sometimes the service that drives the infrastructure will be more expensive than the infrastructure. That's why once we're talking to our National Assembly people, our leaders in National Assembly, when police, immigration, customs is talking about cost of intelligence gathering, it takes somebody who really understands what intelligence and surveillance is to appreciate the amount of money that goes into that, because the quality of implementation, actionable implementation, is the quality of the surveillance and intelligence at your disposal. If you do not have that accurate intelligence, regardless of how much you spend on physical infrastructure, it's going to be waste of money. So we also want to appeal to the National Assembly that in our budgeting process, which has to be innovative and which has to be distinct and different from works infrastructure. This is security. Security all over the world has gone beyond the era of corrective measures. Security all over the world has even gone beyond the era of detection. Security all over the world has gone to the era of preemptive and ability to predict before it happens. That's why you have AI. AI looks at sequence, looks at pattern of life and all these things. So these are not cheap things. We hope that the National Assembly will further be able to support us to be able to achieve this. Then in terms of the maritime, we have a large stretch of our maritime border. We know the problems we have at the moment with regards to our land border that spans over 4,047 kilometers. And of course, we are, as a country, we have to look at the countries that we also border. That tells us the reason why we have to also invest in our border security. Because when you look at the Sahel, sometimes I tell people when they say, oh, the Nigerian security architecture, they're doing a great job, because when you have a responsibility of protecting 230 million people And you are bordered from the Sahel. You have Niger, you have the Chad, you have, when you look at Cameroon, we look at all of them have their own internal issues. And of course, they also come into, the flood into Nigeria. So there's a lot of responsibility on the part of the security agency.